Really, what perfectionism is fear dressed up to look like success. Perfectionism doesn't raise the quality of work, it delays the existence of work. Amazon, their leadership principle isn't be perfect, it's bias for action. Perfectionism doesn't just slow companies down, it shrinks people, it shrinks us. Perfectionism does not build momentum, courage does, and courage will always beat hesitation to the finish line. Welcome to Done Pretending, the podcast where healing meets authentic living. I am your host, Susan Houston, storyteller, mentor, and believer in the power of truth to set us free. This is your sanctuary for the soul, a safe space where we peel back the layers of judgment and fear to uncover the beauty of living real. Each week, you'll hear stories of courage, resilience, and transformation that remind you it's never too late to become who you were created to be. Welcome back, friends. Today, I'm going to talk to you about perfectionism. This is something that has come up in a lot of conversations with people that I've been coaching recently, because perfectionism is something that we a lot of times aren't even aware that we have the problem with. Many people view perfectionism as excellence, but it's not. Really, what perfectionism is fear dressed up to look like success. It whispers things that sound responsible, like, I'm going to wait until it's better, or just one more tweak, or not ready yet. Well, meanwhile, progress and your competitors are doing laps around you. Today, we're talking about one of the most socially rewarded dysfunctions in the business culture and in our personal lives: perfectionism. The thing that people brag about in job interviews because it thinks that it makes them look detail orientated. And it's the trait that managers secretly do reward. The habit leaders call higher standards, but let's call it what it actually is. Perfectionism is a productivity killer that's just wearing a gold star. So let's talk about this lie that we've been sold. Somewhere along the way, we were taught a dangerous equation that perfection equals professionalism. So we over-edit the emails, we rehearse sentences before meetings, and we delay launching ideas until they're bulletproof. We actually even delay bringing up ideas in our team meetings because we don't want criticism. But here's the truth that nobody says out loud. Perfectionism doesn't raise the quality of work, it delays the existence of work. In business, speed beats perfection almost every single time, because being imperfect, I'm being imperfect now, gives you data. Perfect planning, well, it can give you anxiety. Perfectionists think they're avoiding failure, but what they're actually doing is just simply avoiding exposure, not being wrong, not being seen. So they pretend like they've got all their stuff together, right? But they don't. Companies secretly reward this. It survives in corporate culture because it looks responsible. The employee who triple checks everything, praised. Good. Glad you're detail orientated. The one who asks for more time, well, they're seen as being thoughtful. And the one who hesitates before speaking, well, some people can pull this off by looking strategic. But hesitation is not a strategy, and silence is not wisdom. Delay, it's not diligence. Most organizations unintentionally train people to stall. Why? Because mistakes are punished louder than progress is rewarded. So teams learn don't risk, don't test, and don't execute, don't send it unless it's flawless. And this happens in our personal lives too. We stop speaking up when we need to, or we have a great idea. We don't risk being embarrassed or being judged. And sometimes we won't even present a new idea or a new concept until we have absolutely every detail. And just like that, all that innovation, it suffocates because it's polite and approval, chain orientated. So, you're looking for everyone to approve what you're doing instead of saying, "Hey, I've got this great idea. I don't have it all together, but here it is anyway." Here's some real world proof that perfection really does slow success. This is what actually happens in the real world. Let me give you an example. Amazon. Their leadership principle isn't be perfect, it's bias for action. That's their mission or their culture line. They intentionally make decisions with incomplete information because they know that speed creates advantage. Their philosophy: if you wait for certainty, you've already lost the momentum. They even classify decisions into two types: one-way doors, which slow down, and two-way doors, which decide fast. Let me say that again. One-way doors slow down, and two-way doors decide fast. Most decisions are two-way doors at Amazon. But perfectionists, they treat everything like they're jumping off a cliff. If this episode hits something for you, don't keep it to yourself. Follow me and follow the show so you don't miss what's next. Leave a comment, because I actually do read them, and share this with someone who needs to hear it, even if they don't know it yet. Here's another example in the real world: Apple's first iPhone. Now, I don't know if you all can remember back to when Apple released their first iPhone. They didn't have a copy paste. They didn't have something that allowed apps on it, and you couldn't even send picture messages. But by perfectionist standards, it wasn't ready. But by visionary standards, it was revolutionary. And they knew that. If they had waited until it was flawless, someone else would have owned the market. And that's why they come out with something new every year, because they're constantly coming up with new innovations. And are they perfect? No. But technology is also changing just as fast, just like the world is changing for all of us just that fast. So, Sarah Blakely is the founder of Spanx. She didn't start with any kind of manufacturing experience. She didn't have industry connections, and she didn't even have a polished pitch. But she knew she had a great idea. She showed up with prototypes that she cut herself. There was messy execution, and that beat polished hesitation every single time. She once said that she wasn't afraid of failing. She was afraid of not trying. And that mindset, she built $1 billion company. So there's another cost to being a perfectionist, and it's psychological. Perfectionism doesn't just slow companies down, it shrinks people. It shrinks us. It trains your brain to equate visibility with danger. So there's a neuroscientist, Naomi Eisenberger, and what she discovered about this is when people face criticism, they don't register it in their brains as guidance. What they register it as is pain, like physical pain, when you get kicked or punched in the nose. And so your brain goes into protection mode. It tells you to be quiet. It tells you don't get in risky situations. Don't speak up. You might face some criticism. So you start editing yourself. You soften your opinions. You delay decisions. You wait for approval. And you start second guessing your instincts. The longer you wait, the scarier any action you're thinking of feels, because you now have imagined every bad scenario that can happen. Perfection, it's sneaky like that. It disguises fear as being responsibility. I'm being responsible to vet out all the problems that might be there. But confidence, it's not built by thinking and overthinking. It's built by doing something. It's built by taking that imperfect action. And then your brain has proof, you know what? I survived that. Let me try again. And every delay sends the opposite message. Oh, I couldn't handle that if I had tried it, right? So taking action builds courage. Hesitation builds doubt. And doubt, once doubt gets grooved into your brain, it's like a little voice that keeps traveling and whispering in your ear. It doesn't go away. So let's talk about the signs that perfectionism is running your work life or your personal life. You might be stuck in perfectionism if you spend more time refining something instead of releasing it, even something as simple as an email. You hesitate to share ideas until they're fully formed. Well, I can tell you from experience that when you have the right people around you, that you can say, hey, I kind of have this crazy idea. What do you think? And you collaborate with other people, they give you insights that your brain was never going to come up with anyway. So you might be stuck in perfectionism if you replay conversations afterward, analyzing what you should have said. You start projects easily, but then you struggle to finish them. And finally, you might be stuck if you confuse preparation with progress. And if that's you, well, you're not broken. You're simply trained. And what's been trained can be untrained. So here's your done pretending truth for the week. Perfectionism, it's not professional. Progress is. The people winning right now aren't the ones who are getting everything right. They're the ones who are willing to get things wrong faster than anyone else. So if you've been polishing instead of publishing, or revising instead of releasing, or planning instead of pitching your new idea, let this be your sign. Go ahead and do it messy. Speak before you feel ready and launch before you feel certain. And if you are a team leader or a business owner, by all means, please work with your team to create an atmosphere of collaboration and innovation where there are no consequences for bad ideas. Because sometimes those bad ideas you may write on a whiteboard are the ones that grow into the next big thing that will set you apart. Perfectionism does not build momentum. Courage does. And courage will always beat hesitation to the finish line. I hope this episode calls to you and has taught you something. If it called you out and you're feeling like, ooh, that hit home, good. That means it's working. I want you to share this with someone who's been stuck in almost ready mode, or you see hesitating to speak up, because we all have been there and we all know those people who maybe come to you after team meetings who say, I really wanted to say this and it's a great idea, or it's something that the team needs to know, but they were too scared because they're too afraid of being criticized and judged. Just remember, being done pretending starts the moment that you stop waiting to be flawless. Thank you for joining me on Done Pretending. where healing meets authentic living. If today's conversation moved you, share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. And if you haven't yet, be sure to follow the show and leave a review. Your words help this message reach more hearts around the world. Remember, you are seen, you are loved, and your story has the power to set others free.